Welcome into the box score. Terry Collins along with Murphy Fair. Week one of the playoffs in the books, Murphy, and we're dead ahead looking at round two.
Yeah, and our coverage area has done very well.
When you look at that, Murphy, you've been around playoff football at the high school level. It's exciting.
It is, because it's do or die every week.
Right.
You're still playing.
When you look at we're looking at the Chattanooga Prep at Gordonsville game. Chattanooga Prep gave Gordonsville all they wanted, but 5 turnovers were big, 4 interceptions, 1 lost fumble. Probably the difference in that ball game, Murphy.
Christmas came early for the Big Blue Machine, right, for sure, because they. I listened to most of the fourth quarter, I guess, and there were several opportunities for Chattanooga Prep to go away with a win, but Gordonsville never gave up, and here we are in round 2. The Tigers are still playing.
268 yards for Chattanooga Prep and 204 for Gordonsville, but same amount of penalty yards. But like we said earlier, Murph, I think just the fact that and I know Chattanooga Prep had a lot of athletes. I mean, a lot of speed. Butch Agee mentioned that on the show last week when we interviewed him. But when you look at somebody that you've never played before, and that's something Smith County is facing just about on a weekly basis now, then you don't have a book on them. You don't know what to expect. I'm sure that Gordonsville scout team could not simulate what Chattanooga Prep speed was, Murphy, during the week for practice.
If you don't have it, you can't imitate it.
That's right. And that is for sure. Let's go ahead and look at Forest at Smith County. Of course, a very impressive win for the Owls. They're up 40-0 after 3 quarters. The first team defense gave up only 62 yards through those 3 quarters. Ethan Mabel, a huge night, 18 carries for 191 yards, 3 touchdowns, an 80-yard run included in that. Riley Martin just continues to play well for the Owls. A freshman quarterback, 10 of 15, 201 yards passing and 3 touchdowns, and the majority of that, once again, in the first half. Riley now has 1,571 yards, completing 66% of his passes, and he's thrown for 15 touchdowns, Murphy. He's just had an outstanding year, maybe even exceeding Coach Matt Dyer's expectations from the freshman.
And those are incredible numbers, but I think even more amazing than that is the fact that he's just a 9th grader.
Right.
And 3 more years of Riley Martin running the show. I know Smith County's pretty senior laden, especially on offense, but when you've got somebody like Riley Martin coming back at quarterback, you can build around that and make some things happen.
Q Harris, 3 receptions for 63 yards. Wyatt Claywell, a big night. It was just a big night overall for the Owls. They had the checkerboards going in the end zones once again, which they waited last year till, I guess, the second or third round to do that, but that was a nice addition. And Forrest did get a couple of touchdowns in the final quarter. Their quarterback, Aiden Cantrell, 14 of 21, 124 passing yards. Did throw a couple of interceptions. He also added a rushing touchdown, but it was all Smith County from start to finish.
The Owls indeed are somebody to deal with, and right now things are looking pretty good, but that's what makes it so nail-biting in the playoff, because you never know what team's going to show up, and it's not like they've seen 6 films on Fayetteville.
Unless Matt Dyer knows a lot of folks that's on their schedule.
That's right.
Which sometimes happens.
So surprises can come up and bite you if you're not careful.
Fayetteville, the 5th new team on the Owls schedule. Liberty Creek was a new team. East Robertson, a new team. Monterey, they played back in 49, but I don't believe Coach Matt Dyer had any film from back then. Last week, Forest, a new team. This week, Fayetteville, a new team.
Well, when you change classification, that's going to happen. And, the move to 2A really surprised me. I didn't think about Smith County moving down to the 2A ranks. But it's a very competitive region, and the region they line up against is very competitive as well. So the Owls have been very well prepared in every one of their games.
Watertown went to McMinn Central and saw their season come to an end, but a great effort by the Purple Tigers. They lose it 35-32 for McMinn Central. Aiden Flemings, 20 of 29, 402 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Gabe Massengill, 6 receptions, 222 yards, and 3 scores. That's quite a potent passing attack there from McMahon Central.
They've done a really good job this year. That little community has had a hard time the last several years. They were in a championship game, but that was 15 or 20 years ago, I guess, and they're going to be a force to be reckoned with still before it's over, I think.
Blake Waldorf, 12 of 29, 178 passing yards, 4 total touchdowns. Of course, I think he's only a freshman. Adam Cooper, 28 rushes, 133 yards as Watertown's season comes to a close. Looking at DeKalb County at Red Bank, DeKalb County goes down 30-0 in Chattanooga. Josiah Featherstone, 26 carries for 181 yards and a touchdown. Oliver Merritt, 14 rushes for 131 yards, a couple of touchdowns. Murphy, when you have that kind of rushing yardage, that means you dominated time possession and really just played keep away from the Tigers. 300
plus rushing yards by just 2 people. That's pretty impressive, but it also tells me that they must be rather beefy up front.
That is for sure. Briz Trapp, 14 of 27, 70 passing yards, 15 rushing yards. Looked like just a short pass. I'm sure he probably didn't have a whole lot of time to throw it, but Coach Steve Trapp, to be commended once again for getting his team to the playoffs. They've suffered a lot of injuries this year. We're going to look at some Sonic scores and playoff brackets when we return here on the Box Score, presented to you by Carthage Safeway.
Your trusted friend for all your grocery needs in Smith County is Carthage Safeway, your home-owned and home-operated supermarket. From the delicious USDA steaks in their meat department to the freshest produce around, Carthage Safeway is proud to serve you and your family. Todd and Angela Skurlock and everyone at Carthage Safeway are always there with a friendly smile and a helping hand. Great service, prices, and selection. That's Carthage Safeway, 80 Dixon Springs Highway, Carthage.
Neighbors help each other. It's how community works. And it's how we do business at DTC. You can count on us for internet, TV, and phone, backed by local support.
For a limited time, get 1 month free when you add or upgrade your internet package. Enjoy internet speed that can keep up with all you do.
DTC. We're working hard to be a good neighbor.
Hello, I'm Bruce Daniel. I've lived in Cannon County all my life. For the last 59 years, I've only made it across the highway. I married my wife, Melody, in 1981. We hauled our first load of freight in 1983 with 1 truck and a couple old barred trailers. We found a way to make it. Our employees are the backbone of our company. Some of our team members have been with us for more than 30 years.
Nearstar Tennessee Zinc Mines is a proud supporter of athletic programs throughout the area, including high school football and high school basketball. To learn more about us, please visit us at our website, www.nearstar.com. Nearstar Tennessee Zinc Mines.
Terry Collins along with Murphy Fair here on the Box Score, presented to you by the good folks at Carthage Safeway. We want to thank them. And Murph, as we get ready to look at these brackets from the scores, there's only 16 teams left in each classification.
Of Division I. Fewer than that in Division II. So,
that's for sure.
And they'll be cut in half again after week 2.
Right. Of course, that'll be down to 8 teams in the quarterfinals or the third round. Let's go ahead and look at the Sonica Carthage quadrant. This is the brackets. South Pittsburgh, a big win over Joe Bird, 63-0. Clay County kind of struggled with Sell Creek for a little while, but they win it 38-19 at home. Then Red Bull Spring goes to Whitwell, loses 55-12, and then Gordonsville squeaks by Chattanooga Prep. Gordonsville hosting Whitwell. South Pittsburgh goes against Clay County, Murphy, and what I think the Whitwell-Gordonsville game will be close. I don't know that Clay County and South Pitt will be.
I said earlier during the break that round 2 is the one that scares me the most if I'm a player, or especially if I'm a head coach. And neither one of those games up there could be an upset. Clay County's got a very good football team, so does Whitwell. You would like to think that Gordonsville and South Pitt are on a collision course, but they better bring their A game or they'll be through after 2 weeks, either one of those teams.
Guarantee you the coaches are looking at it just like you and I are.
Yep.
Just because we're at home doesn't mean we're going to win. Let's go ahead and look at Class 2A brackets as Smith County gets the win over Forest. We talked about that earlier, 40-14. Fayetteville gets the win over Monterey, 39-14. A little more one-sided Murphy than you and I thought. East Robertson rolls over Cascade and sets up a huge game with Marion, who struggled with Westmoreland, 21-7. Jasper may be the place to be on Friday night when they host two teams that are in some polls, Murphy, the top 5 of Class 2A.
That's true. And that, a lot of Smith County fans, I've attended a couple of their games this year, and even earlier in the season, they were talking about a Smith County East Robertson battle in the 3rd round. I think that's what's going to happen. I think Marion County was highly overrated to be the number 2 2A team in Tennessee most of the season. I saw them play twice as well, and I just was not impressed. I think it's going to be Smith County and Marion County, and that one will once again be played in Carthage.
Smith County, East Robertson. East Robertson beat Marion County.
I'm sorry, that's right. Yes, thank you.
But Murph, when you look at East Robertson, I think if they can control turnovers and control penalties, they're going to be a tough out for whoever. They're very athletic.
Oh, I know. And I saw a good bit of that game on TV, if I'm not mistaken. And I think it'll be a barn burner for sure. Of course, they got to get by Fayetteville, and East Robertson got to get past Marion County. But I think that's probably what's going to happen.
Looking at the Class 3A playoffs, Sonic Carthage brings us the Region 3 and 4 quadrant. You got Meigs County, who was big over Grundy. Of course, Meigs 11-0 now. Sequatchie struggles but beats Tyner at home, 30-26. Murphy, Sequatchie's been up and down this year.
They have, and when you look at those 4 teams, there's none of them have played the schedule that Giles County has played. Giles County has played some 5A, and even I think they even played a 6A school maybe in Lincoln County, if I'm not mistaken. So, and they may be 5A this year too. Numbers are changing so fast, but I think Giles County, head and shoulders, probably ahead of those other 3 teams there in the 2nd round.
Of course, if Giles and Meigs were to win, then that game would be at Meigs in that in that quarterfinal matchup. And of course, what we're looking at is 8 teams of the quadrant. Of course, the winner of that, if you can win that, you'll move all the way to the semifinals and 1 game away from the Blue Cross Bowl in Chattanooga. And when you look at some of these teams, a lot of people hoping that Smith County and York play in that 4th round. Neither have ever been to the state championship game. I think, when you go through your playoff run and you get, the Owls have now been to the semifinals 3 times. Last time being in 2006, it just builds more and more and more enthusiasm in your community.
Oh, it does. It does. And, generally the fans at Smith County High School in Carthage have been loyal fans through thick and thin, good and bad or whatever. And, if what you just said is true, and it is, and if that means 100 more fans than they had the week before, they're going to run out of room by the time they get to the 3rd or 4th round.
I think the good thing, and I don't say this in a negative kind of way, but you've weeded some of the weaker teams out,
right?
And you're getting the stronger teams. So basically in the 2nd round and the quarterfinals, you see some awful competitive games, some awful close games, and some great playoff atmospheres. When Smith County has gotten put out in years past, I've gone with you to several venues throughout the great state of Tennessee, whether it be in West, Middle, or East Tennessee, and you can just tell when the playoff buzz, I guess you could call it, is there. The tailgating, the people before the game, they just have a lot more juice, even though it may be colder than it was mid-season.
And the biggest difference this year is the fact that there's so many teams in 2A that have never been there before,
right.
or in a long, long time when we only had 3 classifications over on the west side of the state. Milan has got to be feeling the same thing. They've been to some big dances in years past, but they're doing it now at the second smallest classification in the state. And you know, Bulldog Stadium over there, John Tucker Stadium, has got to be just a great place to go for a high school football game.
Murphy, let's go ahead and look at the Class 4A playoffs. We will talk to Adam Caine a little bit later. His team's sitting there at 11-0. Gets a big win at home over East Ridge, 56-14. Stone Memorial continuing to improve. You know, they were kind of up and down. They suffered an awfully tough loss to Macon there, 15-14, where Macon used a kind of a flea flicker to beat them at home. And then instead of kicking the extra point, which is what they tried to do, it was a high snap. Kid goes back, throws it in the end zone, and they get kind of a Hail Mary 2-point conversion. That's the reason that Stone had to go on the road to Hicksman, and they won 34-14 and put them in Upperman's bracket. And you know, there's not a lot of difference in Upperman and Macon County. Macon County's only loss was to Upperman, 14-7 at home. Macon's Kyle Shoulders gets a 41-7 victory, and then Red Bank beats DeKalb to set up Red Bank hosting Macon and Stone going to Baxter.
I went to Lafayette, Macon County, this past Friday night, and that Tiger football team was a fire.
Right.
It was incredible the way they jumped out. I think they scored 3 touchdowns in the first quarter.
Right.
They just could not be stopped. It didn't matter if their quarterback was throwing the ball or running with the ball. They were equally talented either way. And I know that there's an awful lot of people up there in Macon County that want another shot at Upperman.
When you look at, Macon County and Upperman, if that did happen, of course, it would be at Upperman because they beat Macon during the regular season. They're in the same region. But still, when you look at that, you know, whoever wins this quadrant, they've got Murderer's Row, Murph, coming up because of, the semifinals. I mean, pick probably one of 2 teams there, that you're going to be facing, but you're going to be facing some, I think, the best teams in 4A.
Absolutely. Elizabeth and Greenville are both power football teams that have great tradition. When they played each other about 3 or 4 weeks ago, there was over 5,000 people at that football game. They played that one in Elizabeth, and they only have to worry about each other. Macon County or Upperman, whoever comes out of this second quadrant, is probably going to have to go through. No, they won't have to go through both of them because they'll meet in the 3rd round also.
The 4th round. Yeah, because the 3rd round would be Macon and Upperman, and then the 4th round, of course, the semis, they'd have to see. But there's going to be some awfully good teams that are not going to make it to the Blue Cross Bowl.
No.
And that's no knock against West Tennessee, but I think the 3, maybe the top 3 teams, or at least 3 of the top 4, are in the eastern half of the bracket.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
Let's go ahead and look at the Class 6A playoff bracket. Of course, with Oakland's upset to Riverdale, they'll be on the road at Mount Juliet. Mount Juliet squeaks by Rockville 29-19. Oakland a big win over Gallatin. Cookville continuing to turn some heads. Murphy 35-14. They beat Siegel to get to the second round of the playoffs. They had gone a little bit down since Jimmy Maynard had left up there. Riverdale then beats Green Hill pretty handily, 50-13. A lot of people thought that would be a lot closer game than that, Murph.
Oh, I think so. But, it's a whole new coaching staff in Cookville right now from what it was when Coach Maynard was there. I don't know, but maybe 2 or 3 guys still on that staff that were there when Jimmy was. But nonetheless, they're going to have their hands full at Riverdale. Riverdale's quarterback, and I listened to a good bit of that game coming home from Lafayette. Riverdale's got some talent, and I know a lot of people have said, well, if they're going to beat Oakland, they better do it this year, and they did it. And that's not an easy accomplishment, especially when you do it on Oakland's field. And if they end up winning this week, then they'll get to play at Warrior Stadium.
Yeah, they get to play host again. And, you know, Maryville, not the team that they have been, not that they're a slouch, Murphy, but, you know, Oakland with the dominance they've had over the last few years and all the, you know, state championships that Kevin Creasy has piled up, you know, you still hard to not pick Oakland to make it to the finals.
Well, that's true, but there's a team up there in East Tennessee that we haven't talked about in years that is still unbeaten, and that's Bradley Central. They're 11-0 now, and they've pretty much hammered everybody they played all season long. Damon Floyd's got probably the best football team he's had since he might say since he played at Bradley.
And Bradley Central did beat Maryville earlier this year.
That's right. That's
so,
right.
You know, that sets up for a very exciting. But we want to thank Justin, always doing a great job for us with the graphics and all that. And behind the scenes, we want to thank Carthage Safeway for sponsoring. And we're going to have an interview with head coach Adam Caine of the Upperman Bees when we return here, as we remind you, you're watching The Box Score, brought to you by Carthage Safeway.
Community Wellness Clinic is a nurse practitioner-owned and operated full-service medical clinic. Our emphasis is on good health and wellness throughout every generation of your family. We strive to provide the expert quality of care that our patients deserve and expect. Along with primary care services, we also offer a full complement of urgent care services. Let us be your family's good health partner. Community Wellness Clinic in Woodbury. Phone 615-563-7515.
Your trusted friend for all your grocery needs in Smith County is Carthage Safeway, your home-owned and home-operated supermarket. From the delicious USDA steaks in their meat department to the freshest produce around, Carthage Safeway is proud to serve you and your family. Todd and Angela Skurlock and everyone at Carthage Safeway are always there with a friendly smile and a helping hand. Great service, prices, and selection. That's Carthage Safeway, 80 Dixon Springs Highway, Carthage.
DTC fiber?
Yeah.
Nice.
DTC fiber?
Oh, yeah.
If you're a commercial driver looking for a company to call home, Huff and Puff Trucking is the company for you. Our employees are professional and dedicated individuals that take pride in what they do. We offer an outstanding pay package with a dispatch structure that maximizes your home time. To learn more about a company that knows you by name and treats you like family, call us at 1-800-965-5033 or visit our website at huffpufftrucking.com.
And here with head coach Adam Caine of the Upperman Bees, here on the Box Score, presented to you by Carthage Safeway. And Coach Caine, first of all, appreciate you taking time. I know what's been a busy schedule for you heading into the second round of playoffs to take time to be with us.
Oh, no problem. I appreciate y'all inviting me on the show.
Adam, it's a lot of people don't necessarily know your background so much. I think you grew up in Chattanooga, played football at McCallie, and mostly was a college coach for a long, long time before you decided you got tired of living out of a suitcase, I think. What's the biggest difference you experienced when you started there? Was it Sequatchie County, I think, was your first full-time head coaching job? What was the biggest difference between that and what you had to do at the college level?
Well, that's a really good question. So at the college level, the just staying in that business and maintain a job and everybody's kind of trying to fight, scratch, and claw their way up the ladder, and so it's so competitive. Even at the small college level, even for the volunteer spots, the the GA spots, the low pay, restricted earnings spots. It's so just ultra competitive, people trying to get into that business, that there's just a different mindset on, if you got a job to do, not only are you going to complete that job, but you're going to try to do it the best of your ability so that you can, maybe someday, impress the right person or whatever, and be able to put yourself in a position to maybe, climb that ladder. And there's not a lot of money in the small college ball, but, if you are fortunate enough to get to that Power 5 level, and cashing those kind of checks, that's life-changing money. And so there's just there's a mindset of always trying to rise the ranks and so on and so forth. And it's very competitive. And so it was a big adjustment for me, because that's kind of how I broke into the profession. It was a big adjustment that, that's not necessarily how everybody at the high school level approaches it. It's a lot more laid back, and people are teachers probably first and coaches after that, and your paychecks usually reflect that, unless you're in a private school, your paycheck is more geared towards what you're doing in the classroom rather than what you're doing on the football field. So that whole thing was a big time adjustment, trying to require assistant coaches to be at the office and put in the hours and the work and that sort of thing it was different for my assistants, for sure, for me to demand that kind of stuff. But it was something where I kind of had to meet people in the middle and realize that this is a lot different. And I kind of had to adjust my mindset to, these guys are not ready to spend all waking hours on football. And so if that's the case, you got to learn to be, pretty daggum efficient with your time and make sure you're not wasting time, because, it is important to me still to put a really quality product on the field. And so you got to do that in 2 or 3 hours rather than, a full, 12-hour day. So that was the biggest adjustment for me.
Coach, when you look at, you was at Sequatchie County for 3 years, had the best year that Sequatchie County ever had in 2016, when y'all went 13-1 and wound up going to the semifinals. Of course, you were 26-10 in 3 years there. Now at Upperman, you're in your 5th year. You're 50-11 so far with the Bees, which is, a pretty good winning percentage, right at 82%. You took the Bees to the semifinals back in 2021 when y'all lost at Elizabeth, and I think that was like 23-6. But Coach, everywhere you've been a winner. I mean, when you look, 76 wins, 21 losses, and Murphy and I make this statement about every time we mention you on the show. Adam Caine's teams are physical, and this year's Upperman team 11-0 is no different.
Yeah. I credit that to, the winning. I think I've got to give credit to. I was fortunate, at Sequatchie. I got there at the right time and really had a good group that was juniors my first year and seniors my second year that we've made that run. And then here at Upperman, we've been blessed with some really good players. And I think both places have been pretty good spots in terms of, I don't think everybody's coaching style fits in everywhere. I think my style of coaching has fit in really well at the 2 spots that I've been. But in fact, this is actually my 6th year here at Upperman. And so I'm going on, this will be 9 as a head coach. And so, I think the whole physical thing, something that I learned as a player at Macaulay back in the 80s. You know, I played for a man named Pete Potter, and he taught us some lifelong lessons, and one of those was that really stuck with me was, you know, you are what you repeatedly do. And I think that means a lot of things. You know, if you do something one time, that doesn't mean that's who you are. But if you repeatedly do something and consistently do something, I think that can become who you are. And if you work hard in practice on the physical side of things, I think that can become second nature to people. It certainly did for me as a player, because I remember as a sophomore kind of being a kid that maybe was a little tentative to get involved in the physical side of things. But when it's something that's demanded of you all day, every day, it kind of, you figure out you either have to embrace it or you might as well go do something else. And so I remember, you know, vividly just finally saying, you know, I'm going to embrace this thing. And, you know, it kind of become, you know, what I was about as a player. And I just figured when I got into coaching, I was going to take that sort of concept. And I think you got to make your practices difficult enough to where kids do have to make that decision. And, you know, I that's what we've tried to do, and we've had some success over the years with it. I don't think it's perfect for everybody. I don't think everybody buys into it, but the ones that do, I think, believe in it. And when we have a group where the majority of the guys that are playing on Friday nights believe in it and buy into it, you can set yourself up for, you know, special seasons. And anytime you go 10-0, I think it's a special season. Now the big trick is going to be trying to keep that ball rolling. And, you know, we got some difficult opponents come, you know, with Stone Memorial coming in here for our rematch with them. You know, we got to keep it going. But thus far, this group has really pleased me with how they've responded and believed in what we're trying to do here.
Adam, you beat them rather convincingly, 48-6 during the regular season. But this Stone Memorial team is not the same football team you faced 6 or 8 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think it was right at 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Okay.
It was the ninth game. But we knew coming in, they're probably the most talented team in our region, just in terms of, you know, athletic ability. You know, they're a heavy senior group. You know, they got a quarterback that can hurt you running the ball, throwing the ball. A lot of good receivers. They're big and strong and pretty athletic on both of their fronts. So you know, that whole game, 48-6, was not what anybody expected, I don't think. But you know, I think they had 3 turnovers in the first quarter. One of them put us on the 1-yard line going in. So, you know, it was one of those nights where everything went kind of against them and for us, and which I'll take those. But you know, just knowing what they have athletically, and knowing that they got a bunch of seniors, and anytime you're in the playoffs where it's a one and done deal, you know, it's going to mean a lot more to that group of seniors. So I fully expect this to be a big time battle between 2 really good football teams. I think you are correct. They're playing a lot better. The last 2 games on film, you know, they play extremely hard on the defensive side of the ball. And, you know, it just looks like that they put that one behind them and you know, circle the wagons and are, you know, trying to make their own little run here. So it's going to be a difficult task for us. And but, you know, I got a team that has showed up every week, and so hopefully we'll embrace the preparation side of things and embrace the competition on Friday night.
Well, Coach Adam Caine, we appreciate you visiting us with us here on the Box Score. Best of luck in round 2 when you host Stone Memorial on Friday night there in Baxter.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate y'all having me.
We'll have more. We'll have the Huff and Puff Trucking Game of the Week preview and also Murphy's matchups when we return, where he does some picking. As we remind you, you're watching the Box Score, presented to you by Carthage Safeway.
What is your emergency?
I think I'm being robbed.
Sir?
These big home security guys want way too much money from me.
Let's connect you to a local company right away.
It's a crime what big national companies charge for home security.
For just $49.99, get a system with a touch keypad, 3 window or door sensors, motion detector, key fob, and standard installation.
Help is on the way, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Switch now and save. Call or visit DTC Security online today.
Community Wellness Clinic is a nurse practitioner-owned and operated full-service medical clinic. Our emphasis is on good health and wellness throughout every generation of your family. We strive to provide the expert quality of care that our patients deserve and expect. Along with primary care services, we also offer a full complement of urgent care services. Let us be your family's good health partner. Community Wellness Clinic in Woodbury. Phone 615-563-7515.
Nearstar Tennessee Zinc Mines is a proud supporter of athletic programs throughout the area, including high school football and high school basketball. To learn more about us, please visit us at our website, www.nearstar.com. Nearstar Tennessee Zinc Mines.
Hello, I'm Bruce Daniel. I've lived in Caine County all my life. For the last 59 years, I've only made it across the highway. I married my wife, Melody, in 1981. We hauled our first load of freight in 1983 with 1 truck and a couple old barred trailers. We found a way to make it. Our employees are the backbone of our company. Some of our team members have been with us for more than 30 years.
And welcome back to the Box Score. Terry Collins along with Murphy Farrell. Murphy, I've got to mention high school basketball. It's starting Monday night is when you can start playing Hall of Fame games. Of course, they go on next week, and although football's not over, you're having to juggle 2 balls right now.
I watched a great documentary last night on Yogi Berra, and they kept talking about it ain't over until it's over.
Right.
And that's the way the playoffs are. We've still got 4 more weeks.
Right. Murph, let's go ahead and look at our game of the week. It's Fayetteville to Smith County, the first time ever that these 2 teams have met. Of course, this is due to TWSA restrictions, and be a replay only on Tuesday, November the 14th at 7, Wednesday, November 15th at 1, Thursday, November 16th at 6:45, and Saturday, November the 18th at 7. But Fayetteville, a very talented team. A couple of years ago, they won the state championship at the single A level.
Yeah, you can't just buy a smartphone and put it on the window and they're in the press box so we could all watch it off of your phone.
Well, since I've got a flip phone, Murph, that probably is not going to work.
That's why I said if you'd have to buy, you'd have to buy a smartphone.
Right. There's different ones that do that on Facebook, so you'll have to patronize one of them. But should be an interesting matchup. There at Al Stadium, the Owls getting to play at home because they won the region. And Fayetteville, a very formidable foe that, kind of squeaked by in week 11, nudging Forest 39-37 and then getting a big win over Monterey last week.
We'll give you a little publicity. Will the Smith County game be on FM?
FM, correct.
All right, That's
right.
I need to know that.
That's right. Let's go ahead and look at Murph's matchups. He's got a couple here in East Tennessee.
I tried to find games where a higher seed might go down with a loss. And I think in the East Tennessee area, Bledsoe County, they've just played so consistently well all season. Hampton started very, very slow. I know it's number 2 over over a number one. That's not a big deal, and that's what most of these are. But I still think Bledsoe comes away with a win in that one. And like I've said all along, ever since I saw them play the first time about a month ago, I'm not overly impressed with Marion County. I was overly impressed with East Robertson, and I think that's kind of a no-brainer right there.
Of course, Bledsoe County on a collision course with York once again, and
right.
I talked to the people from York, and they felt like that Bledsoe was one of their tougher opponents,
right.
Besides Friendship Christian that they faced all year. Let's go ahead and look at some Middle Tennessee picks. Go ahead, Murph.
Mount Juliet just hadn't been the Mount Juliet that Trey Perry has had the last 3 or 4 years, and I really think Oakland is very anxious to get another shot at Riverdale, and they'll do whatever they need to do to make that happen. Jackson Christian, I was on a radio show in West Tennessee about 3 weeks ago, and I heard so much about Jackson Christian. Of course, they got beat by Trinity Christian the following week, but I still think Jackson Christian is, if they can keep number 5 at Columbia, I'm sorry, that's another team I'm thinking about, but nonetheless, Columbia Academy's got a great running back that I think will pose some problems, but not enough that Jackson Christian doesn't win that ball game.
All right, let's go ahead and go to West Tennessee.
Peabody over Riverside. Peabody, a team that got better big time as the season progressed. I know they started with a lot of young kids this year, and Riverside's an awfully good football team. That I would really like to see that game if I had my choice, because I think it'll be a nail biter. I think Sean Jacobs always does what it takes to win a football game. He's very special in his approach to the game, and I think Peabody pulls off the upset there. And then Mitchell against Memphis Business. I really thought Mitchell would be the number 1 seed in Region 8. They didn't hardly make it, but nonetheless, I think they'll bounce back and knock off the number 1 seed in that region. Should be a good one in Memphis as well.
And a couple of picks here locally. Whitwell, an awfully good team. Murphy traveling to Turney Ford Fields for the 2nd week in a row. Should be a nail-biter.
I think both of these games have an awful lot in common. I think Gordonsville's the better team against Whitwell. I think Smith County's the better team against Fayetteville. But when you get this far in the season, anything can happen. And Gordonsville and Smith County both needs to bring the A game, and I'm sure the coaching staffs of both teams will do that. And people in Smith County will still have 2 teams to root for next week.
A bit of injury news that's exciting for the Owls. Jay Phillips, who didn't play last week due to a knee injury, has been released and is expected to suit up and play. He was the 4th leading tackler for the Owls for the season, so that should give them a big boost, not only for this week, but in a potential matchup with Marion County or East Robertson next week. Both of those teams love to run the football.
Absolutely, and you never can have too many good linemen at this time of the season.
Jay, you know, he can put his paw in the ground, or he's a good linebacker and has really been a staple for the Owls, who are giving up about 9 points a game. So I think that's got to continue if they're going to make a run. Thanks so much to Justin Malden, and for Murphy Farah, I'm Terry Collins. Good night on The Box Score.